Hello, welcome to this DCS tutorial video. This video will cover formation flying. This is applicable for all aircraft, but today I'll be utilizing the F-18 to demonstrate. So I'm over here on our training server. I hopped into the Op4 red side, and I'm going to utilize some of these fighters we have flying around and go ahead and demonstrate what it's like to formation fly and then some tips and tricks. So we can see them out here to my left, so I'm going to turn into them. And something I'm going to be very aware of as I come up to them is to stay out of the path of their engine, because I can be hit by their jet wash and flown and flung all around. You can also see I'm closing on them rather fast, so I know that at some point I'm going to have to put my speed brake out. I'll go ahead and bring up my controls indicator so you can see my throttle, stick, and rudder movements. I'm going to throttle back to idle right now, turn into them, and when I get probably within about a mile or two, if I'm still closing relatively fast, I will pop out my speed brake to slow down. Additionally, when we're flying formation, we want to avoid using our rudders as much as possible. All of our corrections will be with our stick and our throttle. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and throttle back up. Once again, I want to stay out of their jet wash, so here we have the perk of being able to see their contrails. I'm going to make sure I don't fly in the contrails. And then I should be relatively outside of their engine's jet wash. After we go through and show some tips on how to formation fly, I'll show you some things not to do and what it'll look like on your end if you actually do happen to perform those actions. Alright, I'm actually going to clear out some of these labels. And this is all going to be by eye and by feel. If you want, as you're learning, you could lock someone up with your radar, and then you'd have your velocity close and the range available to you. But I would not recommend doing that with actual humans. They'll probably get a little bit miffed if you end up doing something like that. Alright, so I'm closing in. I can tell I'm moving a little fast. So I'm going to pop out my speed brake. And as I get closer, I'm actually going to do a barrel roll around them, and that'll help me slow down even more. And that helped me slow down quite a bit. And now I'm pretty much matching their speed, so I can just creep on in with my throttle. As we're flying, if you're doing formation and you're not flying lead, a nice tip is you can put your velocity vector and the wings off of it in the same orientation as their plane. So if I line my velocity vector up just like this, so it's in line with their plane, and I'm matching the wings on my velocity vector with their wings, I know I'm going to be traveling the exact same as their plane. Alright, I got a little slow showing that, so I'll throttle back up. And once again, avoiding jet wash, in this case, avoiding the contrail. But that barrel roll is an extremely useful tool to help you slow down, or rather, not slow down, but make your plane travel more distance than the plane you're trying to form up on. And that'll help you come into a nice, easy form with them. This formation flying technique will be extremely useful for you when you are doing your aerial refueling. It's all just small stick movements, nothing major. Pop out my speed brake, I'm back to idle. Could do a barrel roll here, because I'm going a little fast. Do it nice and easy. And now I've formed up right on his right-hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and creep in. Just like aerial refueling, this will all be about throttle modulation and very small stick movements. Usually your throttle's going to be constantly moving. You're not going to be pegged in the same spot the entire time. So you can see they're in a slight turn, so I have their wing bank mimicked on my velocity vector. And that keeps me in line with them. Get a little closer here. And as you're starting off and you're learning, there's no harm in staying a little further away, but as you get more comfortable, work your way in, and then practice forming up wingtip, or even closer than that if you're able. That will help you tremendously as you are doing aerial refuelings down the line. So my throttle's constantly moving. If I find a sweet spot, I'm just going to kind of bounce high and low right over that sweet spot to maintain with the other aircraft. So once again, I'm mimicking my velocity vector to their wings. And that keeps me in form with them as we're doing this turn. If you're in a turn, it doesn't hurt to give a small amount of rudder. But once again, we want to avoid utilizing the rudder as much as possible. When I say small, I mean extremely small. You can see on this control indicator I'm barely giving any. Alright, I'm going to creep in now that I don't have to show you the control indicator directly. And you can hold it wherever you feel comfortable. So right here would be a solid formation, but I'm going to try and get even closer. Just remember, while you're in a turn, things can be a little bit more complicated. You just have to watch your lead and make sure you mimic what they do. Like, he just rolled out of his turn, so I have to match that. It's not a bad idea to be a little above or a little below your lead, and that'll help you avoid their jet wash even more. You can even be hit, depending how close you are, by vortexes coming off of their wings, so just keep that in mind. So right here I'm a little bit below. I know that's keeping me relatively safe. And let's see how close we can get. A lot of this will be by feel. You see, I'm not even looking at my velocity vector. I'm looking at the other plane. And I'm utilizing the spatial reference to guide myself based off of his aircraft. What's nice is in our helmet, we have our speed and our altitude, so we do have that as a reference. Here our wings are basically almost touching. Alrighty, so you get the idea. I'm going to slow down, break off a little bit. Actually, before I do that, I'll show you moving over. So I'm going to go above him, and then I'm going to just slightly bank my aircraft and come over to his other side. And because those are AI, and I don't know exactly what they're going to do, I'm going to form up on this member over here on his left. So it's just very slight movements, and you'll be able to maintain control. Just very, very slight movements on those controls. If I want to go under him, say we're doing a battle damage assessment, same thing. Just very slight. And you can form right back up. Once again, this is applicable to all aircraft. I'm just in the F-18 today to demonstrate. Alright, so that's all you'll really need to know as far as tips and tricks to make your formation flying a little easier. It all just comes down to practice and getting used to that real light touch on your stick. I'm barely moving it here, as you can see. It's all just essentially right around the center. Now let's talk about things you don't want to do. The first thing is getting into a jet wash, so I'll go ahead and show that now. If you get right behind their engines, it's going to blow you all around just like that. And that can lead to a chain of catastrophic events for you and your wingmates. So definitely make sure you don't do that. If you're ever flying with humans rather than AI, and you're flying trail based on a lead, it's a good idea to have your lead, if he's going to make a turn, give you a count. So say the lead would say 3, 2, 1 mark for his turn, saying, oh, I don't know, I'm going to turn heading 195 on my mark, 3, 2, 1 mark. And then that lets everyone know when the turn is going to happen, so no one is surprised. If you're flying lead, you can utilize your autopilots to make life easier for your wingmates. You could utilize your altitude autopilot, your auto throttle autopilot, and then you can actually initiate your turns utilizing your heading autopilot, and that'll make life a lot easier. So say I was doing that 195, I could input the 195 on my heading, not activate it, and then do the mark countdown, and when I hit the mark, then activate it. So say, turn on this altitude hold, say, turning 195 on my mark, 3, 2, 1, mark, and when I say mark, I'll click the heading select, and it'll do a nice easy turn to the desired heading, giving everyone a nice method to follow. If you're extremely coordinated, everyone could be utilizing that method and hit it at the same time, and then it's essentially a hands-off formation fly. You are coming in fast. Like I said earlier, the barrel roll is an extremely helpful technique. You just have to practice it and get used to it and what you need to do with your throttle during it. So here I'm going to come in fast, and I'll attempt to barrel roll over and match the aircraft. They're in a turn right now, so it's going to be a little difficult. Yep. I don't recommend trying it while you're in a turn, unless you're extremely confident. But you see how it helped me match my speed with them, and then I could correct from there. Not much to it. Just those small things you should practice. And fly formation with whatever aircraft you can. In that case, I was doing fighters, but you can practice with tankers, and that'll help with your aerial refueling. In fact, all of this will. It's all just getting used to the throttle response of your specific aircraft and the slight movements of your stick. Just remember, your rudder, we want to give very little, preferably none at all. Like you saw, I was only giving maybe this much rudder off of my center. Barely anything to affect the aircraft. Just slight little movements. Alrighty, thanks for watching.